For lo these many years, lovers of liberty have warned about the potential impact inherent in progressive or leftist policies that are an affront to liberty. But we're now in the midst of their actual impact, and it's not a pretty picture. Given the deplorable track record of leftist governments over the course of history, about the only thing the worldwide leftist movement has going for it is its willingness and ability to whip people into a frenzy with purely emotional arguments designed to divide people, rich from poor, black from white, men from women. And they've achieved or maintained power by penalizing success, rewarding dependency, and tearing down those who get in their way. No potential target of the left is sacred. The Roman Catholic Church has just selected the first pope from the New World, a man of humility, dedication, and undeniable decency, a man who's humbled himself before the least among us, the poor and the sick, and who stood unflinchingly for life, courageously opposing the ruling leftists in his country on many issues. A man who should be and is a source of pride for South Americans of all stripes. But the far-left president of his homeland of Argentina understands the threat this pope represents to the Marxist movement that's led to multiple leftist governments in South America that have destroyed economies and produced rampant inflation and crime. So President Cristina Fernandez worked behind the scenes to prevent the selection of this pope from her own country, and since his selection has seen fit to use a government-backed newspaper to make the absurd implication, with no evidence, that Pope Francis collaborated with a previous regime in that country to kidnap two priests. This is but one of the myriad examples of the scorched earth tactics of the hard left. But what about the so-called soft left, the socialism practiced in Europe? Well, it's just made a very dangerous play. After decades of social democracy that's resulted in unsustainable debt and economic chaos throughout that continent, a desperate European Union decided the only way to bail out an economy on life supports was to confiscate money from bank depositors in the tiny island nation of Cyprus, which, much like Greece and Italy and Portugal, is racked by low growth, rampant unemployment, and debt they have no way to pay back. This is not only indefensible economic brutality against individuals and private economies, but a threat to the entire world banking system. See, much like here in the U.S., those deposits in Cyprus were guaranteed by the government, meaning they were considered a safe investment, just as deposits here offer the security of the FDIC, the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. The entire banking system, here and overseas, is based on a foundation of trust. The first crack in that trust has now taken hold, even though this outrageous decision by the EU was ultimately rejected by an equally desperate Cypriot parliament. The fact is, with few, if any, serious options left, confiscation of private wealth is now on the table in the European Union. And with the U.S. evolving into the same type of social democracy as the nations of Europe, the danger here is obvious. Burning down people and reputations and freedom and entire economies. Burning down the house. This is the legacy of the left. We must recognize not only what the left is, but the tactics they employ to seize and maintain control, and ultimately the price they're willing to make us pay for their bankrupt ideology.